Here we are, the boys are live. Wardo and the Don.
I am Wardo.
I am the Don. Just getting over Christmas, Jared. How was yours?
It was great.
Mine?
As you get older,
Yeah.
they get a little less exciting than running down the stairs with a million presents, but it was
Still
a good
get
one.
to hang out, day off, get drunk. It was a good time.
No, I ate great. Had a couple great meals. No, I can't complain about
Can't
that.
complain. Before we get into it, just want to remind you guys, check us out, facebook.com/Wardo and the Don, wardoandthedon.wordpress.com. You can hit us up on wardoandthedon@gmail.com, and of course, we're bringing the jams. Spotify search Wardo and the Don, you'll find the playlist on there, ever expanding.
Always expanding, always adding, adding some new jams, old, new, whatever you fancy.
Whatever floats your boat, we got something for you. Here we are going into the last week of the NFL season. A lot of big games, lots of implications. What do you got your eye on?
Well, obviously we got our eye on the Pats this week. If they win, simply put, if they win, they stay at no matter what happens, they'll stay at the very least number 2 and get a first round bye. And I believe, if they lose and the Texans win, then they drop number 3. So win and number 2, get a bye. I think we're an old team. We have an old quarterback. We got some. We could use that week off. We need to almost play this week as if it's a playoff game. So that's the first thing I have my eye on for sure.
Old quarterback is kind of an understatement. Yeah, they got the win last week. The offense still didn't look that great. Brady actually
they ran the ball.
Just came out. He's going to miss all of his incentives for the contract.
So
that's kind of telling in terms
got a
of
bunch.
Yeah, that's kind of telling in terms of his production is going down.
Yeah.
And whether that's just lack of talent around him, kind of like a Super Bowl hangover.
Well, he had slightly less touchdowns this year, unless he throws about 6 tomorrow.
Which is always possible.
He's always around 30.
It's the Jets.
30, low 30s, and then he throws under 10 picks. It's almost like the Brady numbers that you're used to.
Yeah.
He's well under 30 right now, going into week 17, and he has, I believe, 10 interceptions, or 11 maybe, which is the most I can remember he's had in a long time.
You went live with when the Josh Gordon news broke,
yes.
And you had a hot take then. Has your opinion changed?
No, the opinion it's furthermore the way it felt that way. I said we should probably. Don't get me wrong. I care about the state of people's mental health, but as a Patriots fan, I care about the Patriots, and I think that you just got to move on from it. The guy obviously has some issues that we can't be wasting Brady's last final seasons away on. And at the same time, I said on that update that I thought it was more than weed, and it was more than weed. So if that's the case, because in my opinion, the NFL should just stop testing for weed. It's kind of a joke.
I would agree. I think anybody who knows us personally knows where we stand on that.
Absolutely. And Michael Bennett, one of the Bennett brothers, or it was either Michael or Martellus, said one of the Bennett brothers said last year something around the lines of 89% of the NFL players are using weed. So
it's just silly.
It is silly. They're allowed to take opiates, be prescribed opiates, but if they want to use weed for their pain-killing medication, they're not allowed to. On top of the fact that the guy should be allowed to use it recreationally if it's not an issue.
Looking at it from a Patriots perspective, though, so they lose Josh Gordon. They had already played 4 games without him this year. They didn't look necessarily great in those games.
No, he was starting to move along in the offense as a player.
But I'm saying Gronk hasn't looked great. Edelman's questionable. What if either one of them, maybe both, goes down? And you kind of look, Brady's 41 years old. Why haven't the Patriots loaded up? They're taking running backs in the first round. They're signing guys like, Cordell Patterson.
Some people, even at 41, would believe that drafting a quarterback at this time.
You trade Brandon Cooks. It's like, what? They're not.
Yeah.
Brady's window is shrinking fast.
So they think, I know that a couple years ago, even with the Garoppolo thing, I believe that supposedly caused some tension because when they brought in Garoppolo, Brady started thinking that the window was closed on him, and he wants to kind of be the decider on when the window's closing. So I think that maybe even with him at 41 years old, maybe even if we draft a quarterback now, maybe that it causes tension, which I think is shitty because I would want him to work with a quarterback. I don't want to draft a quarterback when he's done.
He's not that kind of guy. He's not going to mentor the next guy. He's way too competitive.
I think he got a good template in it. And even a worse situation for Drew Bledsoe, who stepped up he took Drew Bledsoe's job, and Drew Bledsoe stepped up and mentored him as best he could in that situation. So I give Bledsoe credit for that. Brady should see that. That's a class act move. I've always had respect for Bledsoe for that.
I agree, but I think that Drew Bledsoe is more like a Phillip Rivers, and Tom Brady's more like like a Michael Jordan.
Oh, of course.
Jordan's not mentoring the next guy. He's trying to dunk on him. He's trying to beat him on the golf course to this day.
No. Drew Bledsoe had been to one Super Bowl that he lost. He didn't have the resume that Brady has. So it's and it was awkward in Green Bay with Favre and Rodgers. But you see how Green Bay did that. Yeah. They just got rid of Favre.
True competitors aren't gonna help a guy take their job.
Yep. So playoff wise for the football, basically the Colts Titans game this week. It's basically a playoff game. Whoever wins that game gets in. The only real note I have about that game, I think it's a great matchup. It's kind of a flip of the coin. Marcus Mariota is questionable for the game. If he doesn't play, the Colts, I think, are going to take the game.
I think the Colts could win that game regardless.
I think the Colts have earned the right, because the Titans have clearly been in control of the conference all year. The Colts have earned the right to, the way they've played. They've beaten some good teams. They've earned the right to play themselves.
They had a big win maybe 2 weeks ago. I forget who they played. But
they've had a couple of big wins. And Andrew Luck's went back to the old Luck. He's the clear-cut NFL comeback player of the year.
Head and shoulders.
No question about that. He's been great this year.
Also kind of tied into the Patriots is the situation going on in the AFC West with the Chargers and the Chiefs.
Yeah, so basically if both the Chargers and the Chiefs lose and the Patriots win, then we would slide into number one. But the way it works out, if the Chargers win and KC loses, the Chargers would slide into the number one slot after all they've been through this year, and I believe the Chiefs would drop down to about number 4.
Are the Chargers going to charge? Are they going to do what they do?
Both of them have layup matchups this week, I feel like. I think they're both going to win. So I think the Pats just have to win, get themselves that number 2.
We shall see.
But I'll tell you, KC's looked pedestrian the last couple weeks, and I wouldn't be surprised if they lost and the Chargers stole that number 1 seed.
I think the most intriguing storyline in the league is the Nick Foles situation in Philly.
That's enormous.
He could potentially get them into the playoffs as a wild card.
After they played average at best all year with Wentz.
Right. And if he were to lead them to an NFC championship or, God forbid, a Super Bowl, that situation is crazy. And then we're talking about Brady being old and, Hoyer sucks. Is Wentz or, even Foles someone the Patriots could target?
Maybe they have to move on. I think Wentz, if they decided to stick with Foles, which I know they gave him, I'm pretty sure they gave him some good money, but if they decided to stick with Foles, Wentz. Foles is a little bit older. I'm not sure, but if the guy's this much of a winner, and he really fits that system that he's working in right now.
I think he could be a good bridge guy until the Patriots can draft.
I think so.
The next guy.
Now, we were talking about this earlier. The Saints have nothing to play for this week. They're going to start Teddy Bridgewater, and he's a free agent after this year, too. And that's another name I would not mind the Pats looking at. I think, just youth-wise, what we have seen from Bridgewater is good play. He's been a pretty good player in the times that he has been given those opportunities. The fact that we just have Hoyer, I wouldn't mind spending some money, bringing in a young guy with potential.
I don't like the move. It reminds me of, as far as I know, Breeze isn't hurt. Correct me if I'm wrong. But it reminds me of when the Colts had a great record with Peyton Manning and they kind of benched everybody the last 2 weeks and then they got blown out.
Well, you get cold. Yeah, you get cold.
Right. I don't like the move
especially
at all.
If you're going to have a bye. They're going to have a bye as is. So they might as well let the guys take some snaps. I agree.
Breeze and the Saints, they have the potential to go to the Super Bowl and win it.
Absolutely. They won't have to go on the road again unless they go to the Super Bowl.
Another possible upset, our boy Baker going against the Ravens. Is he going to keep him? That would be
a lot on the line.
Monumental.
It's at Baltimore. So I feel like the game's kind of a flip of the coin, but especially... they're not starting Flacco, so you get 2 young rookie-type quarterbacks starting the game. It's a toss-up. I'm going to go, I think Baltimore will win only strictly because it's at home, but I would love to see Cleveland finish off the year 8-7-1.
If they can be how bad does Hugh Jackson suck as a head coach? I mean...
It's awful. It's awful.
Just the turnaround of the Browns. Yep. I get they wanted to mentor Baker with Tyrod, but... It is what it is.
Yeah, no, Baker was ready to go. Hugh Jackson obviously has no idea what he's doing. On another note with that, if Cleveland does beat Baltimore at home, Pittsburgh has a game at home against Cincy, where if they do win that game and Cleveland wins, then Pittsburgh sneaks into the playoffs. And side note from that game, even though it's at home against the Bengals, speculation Antonio Brown might miss the game. I'm not sure exactly, quad injury or.
Who would you like to see the Patriots get in the first round?
A lot of these teams scare me. If we do sneak into that bye, I would love to see the Chargers have to go. Say Kansas City stays at that number 1 seed. Would love to see the Chargers go play there because the Chargers have a great chance to knock off Kansas City at Arrowhead.
For sure.
And then, per se, we do win, then the road goes through New England. I think that would be best case scenario. So not so much who I want us to play, but who do I want Kansas City to have to play.
Yeah, I really don't see the Chargers coming into Foxborough in late January and winning.
Even so they go to Arrowhead, and the only reason I think they can do that is they have a veteran quarterback, a good defense, and they're playing against a rookie quarterback in Kansas City. So I don't think it's impossible to go to Arrowhead. I'm not sure the Patriots can do it, but I would like to see another team do it and then have to come to New England. Just if the ball rolls that way for us, I see it looking. There are still ways where this can really look good for us here as Pats fans. They can still sneak themselves into a really good situation.
Yeah, normally we dominate the Texans, but just an early gut feeling tells me that this year might be different. Where
I think Deshaun Watson's starting to get that confidence. We played him early. We beat the Texans this year. Early in the year, though.
They did. I think they lost Demaryius Thomas, so.
Right.
Belichick typically locks down your best option, so he might just double DeAndre, and then.
Well, that's it. I'm not sold on Demaryius Thomas, but him getting a second, the second cornerback is a thing.
Yeah.
He's not a number 1. I know that. I've said that even from his time in Denver. I don't think he's a number 1, but he is a talented
receiver. Especially now.
He's a talented receiver, but Hopkins is a savage. But if you can double him, like you said. I think Kiki Qt's out for the year as well, right? I think they've had some bad injuries.
Yeah, they've been struggling, but Bill O'Brien's really done a nice job. He's kind of like the most successful of the Belichick coaching tree at this point.
Yeah.
Kind of taking a step back from the pros. I don't know about you. I'm not a huge college football guy, but the playoffs are on tonight.
They're on in about 30 minutes, I believe.
30 minutes, as of now. Notre Dame versus Clemson, Oklahoma versus Alabama.
Yep. So typical Alabama Clemson are involved.
And it's going to be interesting because I don't know. Is there going to be any upsets? This is what I don't think so.
So the lines have Clemson plus 11.5 and Alabama plus 14. I'm not sure. I'm not going to give much advice on betting lines or anything like that because I haven't watched enough college football to do that. But I think Oklahoma has a shot against Alabama because Kyler Murray is the Heisman winner. They have probably the best player in the game, and I think that they have a shot. But I think Alabama's going to win again. Same thing with I know Clemson just lost an all conference defensive lineman to something. I'm not sure exactly, but him and 2 other players are suspended. So that's a thing. Notre Dame undefeated doesn't really play in the SEC per se.
They got a weak schedule.
Yeah, I mean the SEC is like the semi-pros of the NFL, and then every other conference is kind of it goes down from there. The SEC though, I mean if you play in the SEC, you got a chance.
I was saying off air that for me, college football it's like a whole nother world. I don't know anything about it. There's 75-point spreads in the regular season. I'm like, what the hell is going on here? And then next thing you know, it's like, oh, these are the Final Four, but this team's undefeated. This team beat this team. I have no idea what the hell's going on.
Yeah.
They need to just expand this to a traditional playoff.
Absolutely.
And that would really get probably people on the fringe like me to be more engaged into the sport.
You're talking about a number 8 seed now having a chance. Now maybe just like in March Madness, right? You got these 15 and 16 seeds. They might win a game or two. They probably get knocked out in the Sweet 16. You can only win so many games, but you're giving them a chance, and people want to see that Cinderella
story. That's what college sports is about to me.
Mm-hmm.
As someone who didn't come close to playing any.
Absolutely. College sports is, But yeah, that's what people love about March Madness, the Cinderella story opportunities. And college football's lacking that. I mean, quickly put, Alabama, it's going to be Alabama and Clemson, I'm sure of it. And Alabama will probably win. But I would love to see Notre Dame, Oklahoma. I think all of us would.
I think Nick Saban is scared to leave Alabama and go to the NFL. because he's got such a
He
tight
did at
grip.
one point, right? I think he went to the
Yeah, and he
Dolphins or
looked
something
like shit.
Yeah,
Like,
he did terrible.
I think he's scared to leave Alabama. I mean, he's probably the greatest college coach of all time, but
He definitely is. Him and Belichick are like, you got the goats, college football and pro football right now.
and speaking of the Fighting Irish, the logo for them made its way onto Serengoli's mask. for the
Yeah,
Winter
Tuukka
Classic.
Rask made a pretty awesome Winter Classic. It's got like the Fighting Irish wearing a Bruins jersey, and he had like a painting basically of the banner that's outside the Notre Dame locker room that says "Play like a champion today." Like it says that on the back. It's got the Fighting Irish on the top. Really, really fresh looking.
Here's a hot take for you: does Tuca deserve to play in the Winter Classic?
I know Halak has got a hell of a year going right now. Man.
Yeah.
But
What a bummer that DeBrusque is going to miss the game as well for that suspension.
Backus.
Oh, Backus?
Was it Backus? Backus, yeah.
You're right.
It was Backus, yeah. Which sucks, man. They got and I don't know. I didn't necessarily see a lot of the play. I wasn't watching the game live. I saw
True.
highlights. But at the same time, that sucks. That of the games, he's gonna get suspended.
Big time bummer.
Yeah, big bummer.
He probably signed, with the team. He was
Yeah.
like, oh, we might get a Winter Classic
But-
out of this.
Bergey's back. Chara's working his way back. I think the Bruins are trending up. I watched this little prelude to the Bruins Blackhawks Winter Classic on HBO, whatever it is. It was really cool. Covered a little inside stories, basically just showing like their seasons and how they're going so far. And the Blackhawks season is trending down, where I believe ours is trending up. I think the Bruins are, with these injuries, you got two goalies, which I don't think much of Rask, but we have two goalies that
It's a good problem to
we have a good problem to have, yeah.
Yeah.
Pasta and Marchand stepped up huge while these guys were injured, and they kept us in the hunt. So I think the Bruins are trending up. We'll see what happens, but I would love to see them win the Winter Classic. I'd love to see them win in a blowout.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. It's just like the whole. I mean, I always was not a good hockey player, but playing on the ice was just fun with the boys getting out there.
It's the best.
It's the best.
The best. Even now, I mean, I haven't played in a couple of years, but the beer leagues are the funnest. You go play with the boys.
That's what it's about.
Go to the locker room, have some beers, hit the bar, or something. Go drink in the parking lot. Like that's what hockey is.
It's like the Winter Classic shouldn't even count, or they should even play the Olympics.
Man, I just miss being down the rink.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The rink environment was great. It really was. Like I swear, when we played high school puck, I used to show up like 2 hours prior. I'd be outside in the lot stretching. Like I just liked being around the
Just
rink
being there.
and the vibe of it all.
Yeah.
Smelling the ice. Like I played hockey. My dad put me on skates when I was like 2.5 years old. So
Yeah.
it was just always a thing to me. I love hockey.
Good stuff.
So not much with the Celtics. They're playing good. They won on Christmas, which was all Kyrie. That was a huge Kyrie game.
Kyrie game, national stage. He
Turned
stepped up.
Exactly, and I think that's what he's wanting.
Yeah.
I think he just wants to get back
That's
to that
not a
stage.
coincidence.
We turned around, we lost a rough game to Houston, but Houston had a tough start, and Houston's hungry, and they're trying to get themselves back on track.
I hate
Shitty
Houston.
game.
I'm
Yeah,
the biggest
shitty
James
game,
Harden
and we
hater.
we let up a shitload of points to Harden as well, which sucks. But
It is. It happens, but it's those games where I'm watching it, and because I hate Harden so much,
I hate Houston.
and he's going off, and
Yeah.
I'm just like, this motherfucker.
I hate Houston. Only other thing in the NBA that I got, LeBron injury. He seems to have dodged a bullet. He's only going to miss a little bit of time, but
Getting saucy.
baller status, showing up to the arena the other night, the Staples Center, with a glass of wine.
Probably a very earthy blend. You
Yeah.
know?
I'm sure it wasn't a cheap wine.
Yeah.
I'm sure it wasn't a cheap. He doesn't drink, Arbor Mist, if that's what you're asking.
LeBron, I don't know. He's not. He doesn't strike me as the slap the bag kind of guy.
No, he's not a box of wine kind of guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I am a box of wine kind of guy.
This is true. I've seen it.
I have no problem drinking a box of wine.
Kind of moving on in other parts of the sports world. You brought to my attention that the golf structure has changed recently.
So yeah, the golf structure this year, 2019 schedule is going to be different. So as opposed, they always had the Masters was the first real big tournament. So like as January approaches, the end of January, the Farmers Insurance Open will be at the very end. I think going into February, like the final rounds in February. But that will be the first like kickoff. The season's going now. I think that's the first time we'll see Tiger. We'll see all those guys. Ricky, all the boys will be there. Torrey Pines. But then, so this season's going to be very vastly different. Usually you'd have the Masters in April and then the Players' Championship in May. the way it's working this year is you're going to have the Players' Championship in March to kind of kick the season, the big tournament season off. You're going to go stick with the Masters in April. The PGA Championship will now be in May as opposed to August, where they're going to save August basically for the FedEx Cup playoffs.
Yeah.
So the way it's going to work is you're going to go Masters in April, PGA Championship slides to May. The U.S. Open and the Open will still be June and July, but the Open in July will be the last major, and then in August the FedEx Cup playoffs will take place. So they're basically leaving it open for the FedEx Cup playoffs. Also, the season will end a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
So these guys are going to have a little more of an off season. So I think the players are big in time support of it. It'll be weird for me. I'm so used to the majors going in order of as much as I love them. You got Masters. It used to be the Masters, the U.S. Open, the PGA, and that in order is how I think that they rank.
Yeah, definitely the PGA is like the least important or least coveted major.
Yeah, it's a major.
I do like what they're doing just in terms of trying to grow the game of golf and moving the PGA after the Masters, because we were talking off air, like, people are always going to be hyped for the U.S. Open, for the British Open.
Yep.
So you have the Masters. That's the one.
Yeah.
I mean, at
the
least
Masters is the one. And even the European players at this point are starting to say that's the one.
That's the one.
Yep.
And then, you carry that momentum into the PGA and maybe get a little more, because as much as Tiger is back and I like his chances in a lot of these majors in the upcoming year, he is getting older, so I am concerned about, like the future popularity of golf. And I think this move kind of helps the PGA.
I think this move helps. This is like a random thing to bring up, and I'm not sure I've ever really thought of it like this before, but as I'm looking at it, the odds of a Grand Slam have gone up. Because you used to have April as the Masters, and then you wouldn't see another major until June in the U.S. Open, so almost a 2.5-month layover. So you're talking about having majors 1, 2, 3, 4. If you trend in the right direction in those right months, the odds of you actually getting a Grand Slam now.
And the Grand Slam is a great storyline, which will bring in more people.
And I think I brought it up before. The Grand Slam next year, obviously you have Tiger with the Grand Slam, but I think at every major next year, the Masters, if Rory wins, he completes his Grand Slam. The U.S. Open, if Phil won, he completes his Grand Slam.
You mean career?
Career Grand Slam, yeah. Just as a whole, having all 4 titles. So that would be, and then the Open. I'm sorry, so not the Open, but the PGA Championship, if Jordan wins, he gets his Grand Slam. So outside of the Open, the other 3 leave a career Grand Slam opportunity next year. Next year's majors are...
It's going to be
an awesome season.
Yeah, I'm really
Tiger
looking
back,
forward to it.
Phil finishing his career off. Ricky hasn't won one, but he just turned 30, so is Ricky ready to start winning? Can Jordan and Rory pick up their career Grand Slams? So many storylines going into next year. Can Brooks Koepka keep playing at this hot level where he won 2 majors last year?
I'm looking at the world rankings now, and Koepka's number 1 in the world.
So he's very quietly slid back into number 1. I don't know if he ever was there.
Followed by Justin Rose, Dustin Johnson, Justin Thomas, and then you have Tiger all the way down at 13, which seems a little low.
But he was about 7,500th in the world last year, so going from that, wherever he was, to come back to...
Tiger's back!
Top 20 in the world, top 15 in the world again. Yeah.
Love it.
So that's unbelievable. Yeah, that's a great topic though. That I think this is going to change. And I'm a huge golf fan. I mean, I'm in love with.
Yeah,
golf.
as the season approaches, we'll talk more and more golf.
And I love golf. I'm a huge Tiger guy, but not just that. I've fallen in love with the tour. I grew up a big Tiger guy. In Tiger's absence, obviously I was a Rory guy before Tiger went away, but in Tiger's absence, man, some of these guys, Jordan and Justin Thomas, and I've always been a Ricky guy, but even more so lately, I just really, him turning 30, I really want to see him win a major. I want to see him win more tournaments. I think he only has 3 or 4 professional victories, as good as he is. So I'd love to see him start turning that page at 30 years old. But the storylines are endless in golf right now, and I think with this schedule change, I'm telling you, the season next year is going to be lit. It's going to be lit next year. I really do believe that.
I always root for lefties as a lefty golfer. It's just, that's how it goes. It's
Bubba and you got Phil.
I'm prejudiced.
But you got 2 big ones, though.
Yeah, I will admit this.
I'm not a Bubba guy.
Anybody who's southpaw off the tee, that's my boy.
Not a big Bubba guy.
So last week, it was kind of our Christmas special, and we did the top 5 Christmas movies. And we were kind of struggling this week to pick a top 5, so we kind of reached into our bag of tricks from our previous episodes, and we just went for the top 5 sports movies. to close out the episode. And we limited ourselves to one sport per entry. So, for instance, you couldn't have, Happy Gilmore and Caddyshack.
Absolutely.
You get one sport per entry, 5 spots. We ended up with, basketball, football, baseball, hockey, golf, I think. And then we also have a wild card.
Yeah, we got wild card movies, but we'll get into that more. We'll get with our top 5 first, and then we'll talk about the wild card.
So for me, I honestly didn't kind of put these in any sort of. I guess I'll do it now live. But so number 5, I would put Remember the Titans as my football movie. Denzel, like at the height of his powers, just absolute classic.
That's on mine as well. That's a good movie.
Number 4 for my basketball movie, White Man Can't Jump. Love that movie. Wesley Snipes, Woody Harrelson, good stuff.
Classic.
Number 3, Sandlot. That's my baseball movie. That's just like an American classic. I love that movie. Yeah, that movie gives me nostalgia vibes all day. Number 2 for my golf movie, had to go Caddyshack. That's your favorite movie, I think, of all time.
I believe it's my favorite movie of all time. I went a little bit different way with my top 5, but I'll let you finish first.
Oh, number 1, Do You Believe in Miracles? Jimmy Craig, What's Up You Siv? Jack O'Callahan, Miracle, the upset of U.S. over the Soviets. Good
Unbelievable.
Stuff. Yeah.
That's a great movie, man. I remember watching that in the theaters and just, I remember the chills. I was playing high school hockey at the time.
Goosebumps, bro.
Goosebumps. Yeah. I just couldn't wait to get on the ice after watching that movie.
Yeah.
So, again, mine can go in any order. I didn't really try to put it in order as much as I tried to make sure I got the sports. So, 5 here I got my basketball movie, Above the Rim. You got Tupac, great movie. Not So.
Yeah.
Just a great movie. It's one of those movies that I can just watch all the time. At 4, Mystery Alaska is my hockey movie.
Skank Martin.
Yeah, Skank Martin is my all-time. This guy was my idol when I was in high school. I play hockey and I fornicate because they're the most 2 fun things to do in cold weather. Everything he said in the movie was prime time. But that quote right there, that was one of my favorite quotes of all time. 3, golf movie, tough for me. Happy Gilmore and Caddyshack are just all time. I love those movies, but I went with Tin Cup because I went with more of a drama, an actual movie, although it was comedy at times.
That final scene, man, is just like if that doesn't put some lead in your pencil.
Oh man, and Roy McAvoy is me. I feel I love that guy's character.
You're on your last ball, Roy.
He was unbelievable in that movie. Stubborn asshole, just going for it at all times. Number 2, I got the same here as football. I know I wanted to conflict a little bit with you here, but Remember the Titans it has to be the one.
The best football movie there is.
I got a couple other football movies down here, but they just don't.
Left Side.
I got Rudy and a couple other movies down here, but they don't hold Remember the Titans jock. And number 1, this is a big time. It's a personal fave, and it's a big time in my family. We all love this movie. We quote it nonstop. A League of Their Own. Unbelievable movie. I'm a big history guy too, kind of. So it dives into history. It's like a historical movie as well, but Tom Hanks' performance in that movie.
No crying in baseball.
It's, just all time.
R.I.P. Penny Marshall.
Avoid the clap, Jimmy Dugan. It's good advice,
I had a couple wild cards. You could call them wild cards, honorable mentions, but they're not maybe traditional sports movies. So for me, Mickey Rourke, The Wrestler.
It's an underrated movie.
Yeah,
it's an underrated
great
movie.
performance. I've become obsessed with this guy, Alex Honnold. You might want to check him out. He free soloed El Capitan in Yosemite Park, and the name of the movie is Free Solo, and it's just, it will blow your mind.
So I haven't seen that, but we were talking about it earlier.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to check this out.
And then Ultra Wild Card. You may notice our top 5 usually extends to 15, 20 movies, but a super out of left field wild card, Bring It On, the original, Gabrielle Union, Kirsten Dunst. That was like some competitive shit. I was fully invested.
It's a classic. So I have a couple wild cards myself. I put the Rocky series down here. It's tough for me to pick one of all these 9 movies or whatever.
Just throw them all
Rocky,
in there.
Creed, all them. I have to mention them. I grew up on Rocky. Rocky Balboa is my homeboy. Jerry Maguire is a classic sports movie. It covers all the bases, but I thought that was one of my favorite Tom Cruise movies.
Yeah.
I almost said Tom Hanks because we were talking about the Tom Cruise movies. And then Fever Pitch, I have down.
Oh, yeah.
We talked about this one earlier, and I had to bring it up. The Fan.
Oh.
Bobby De Niro and Wesley Snipes. That was another wild card movie. Just like a 90s movie. I think John Leguizamo was in that.
Oh, wouldn't surprise
Just
me.
a classic movie, but I really like that. And then Celtic Pride. You got to bring up Celtic Pride.
I think that one is close to our hearts as Celtics fans.
Of course,
I don't know how the nation feels about it.
No, I don't know how everyone feels. I remember talking to a couple buddies from California, and they knew of it. They knew what I was talking about. But yeah, that one's like a little bit more special for us than it is, the average person.
Well, that rounds out our top 28 sports movies of all time, and that's going to do it for the boys. I am the Don.
This is Wardo.
This is Wardo and the Don. And a reminder, you can check us out on Facebook, all that stuff. WordPress, Spotify, Wardo and the Don, search for us. If you have any questions or anything you want us to talk about on the future episodes, hit us up at wardoandthedon@gmail.com. That's going to do it.
All right, have a good one.